Since 1903, the Milwaukee Mile has been a staple of racing action here in the U.S. It is, of course, America's oldest oval, and it is where we will play host to Round 5 of the Classic Indycar Series. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Lola Ramble alongside Gary Gatsa. We bring you all of racing action from this absolutely fantastic Sunday afternoon. Gary, it is round number 5. What a fantastic time it is to be back with our second oval race of the season at such a historic venue.
Right, round 5 with the second oval, so we've seen some regulars do well and kind of pad their stats early in the season on these road courses that are a little bit earlier in the schedule, but now we're back to an oval, the second one. The first one we had earlier in the season was at Milwaukee, and need I not remind everybody what a fantastic race that was, even though we went to the time limit. I'm hoping we don't have the time limit today. It's 200 laps, just over 200 miles, just kind of like the old days in the 80s in kart when they would just do a 200-mile race here. Real IndyCar when they come here now. Modern IndyCar, it's 250 miles, 250 laps. But I'm hoping that we get to the full 200s because I think we're in for a good race. If Motegi is any indicator of what oval race is going to be like this season with these guys.
We'll take a look at the official championship standings entering racing action here this afternoon. And right now, it is the battle between Mustonen and Cameron Dance at the top of the boards. They have pulled away big time from the field, but they remain within 9 of each other. The points swinging back and forth, while Mustonen looking to take away win after win after win. Mustonen, 2 wins so far on the season. He went back-to-back in those wins as well, and now he is looking set to try and see if he can't lock out another one this afternoon and take win number 3 of the season, which would, of course, be 3 in a row.
I see Cameron in the lineup today. Currently, we're doing a warm-up right now, and he's 14th in the warm-up. We'll get a starting lineup here in a little bit, but I'm not seeing Mustonen in the lineup, I don't think. So maybe he's going to use this as one of his drops. I don't know, but I don't see him in the lineup. So we might see a switch at the top of the standings, depending on, well, definitely we're going to see a switch at the top of the standings. It's only 9 points difference between first and second place. So just by starting this race, Cameron Dance at the end of the day will be the new points leader.
You see Johnny Garrett topping the boards in the practice session, about the 3-hour practice session leading up to this race. Robert Barnekow was in the number 2 spot. You look all the way down to the field, and sure enough, Mustonen nowhere in sight. To the championship, looking to swing back into the Kiwis' favor, and we'll see where things are going to pan out for him this afternoon. Right now on the track, blistering track temps, 108 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, 70 in the air with minimal humidity. That means that this is going to be one slick track for drivers to contend with, and there's not a lot to cool it down either, with minimal air in the wind in the air as well.
Yeah, not much breeze out there, kind of low humidity, 108 degrees track temperature, and not much banking to keep you on this track either. This is virtually a completely flat track. Turn 3 at Pocono is actually modeled after one of the turns here at Milwaukee. And so you know how flat Pocono is in turn 3. And again, that's what you're looking at here. Also, you're going to see different lines through these corners. The low line down the very bottom, very early in the run, and we're talking maybe 1 or 2 laps after a start of a green flag run or a new tires. That low line is worth something. But after that, up above that paved line, maybe even a 3rd lane higher, you'll be ripping the top here, at least in the IR18s. Maybe these IR05s would be able to hold the line a little bit lower, but it's very, very, very hard to pass here. You've got to make hay while the getting is good early in the runs while you have fresh tires. Other than that, it might become a game of track position. We've seen in the IR18s and the DW12s when they race here, even with old tires, you can hold off a potential challenger for quite a while because it is so tough to pass.
It is insanely tricky to pass. It has been no easy feat, and it's been a feat that many drivers have tried, many drivers have attempted, and boy, many of them have crumbled. The last 1-mile race we had here for the Classic IndyCar Series was the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That race ended up being one of attrition, with the notable incident of the day being Johnny Garrett with a high-speed flight into the catch fencing. We are hoping that that does not happen this afternoon, but hey, it's the Milwaukee Mile, it's a short track, and you got IndyCars in play. Anything can happen. But with that all said and done, The checker flag going to fall on this 10-minute warm-up session after qualifying. And we will take a rundown of how things line up for the Paper Recycling Systems 200 here in Wisconsin. Starting on pole position this afternoon, it is going to be none other than one Henry Bennett on top alongside his Power Slide Team Chimera teammate of Andrew Wood. It's in fact a Chimera 1, 2, 3 lockout in qualifying as Jamie Wilson puts his car up into third. Johnny Garrett back in fourth. With row number 3 holding the Team Watson Racing driver Ethan Aiken alongside AeroX's Robert Barnicow. Row number 4 then holding Vortex Sim Racing driver Robert Grosser alongside Team Watson Racing's Matthias Strauss. And then row number 5 headed up by who is bound to be the points leader after tonight, Cameron Dant over Drop Bear Motorsports alongside Team Watson Racing's Logan Simmons, less than a tenth and a half off the mark.
Back in row 6 on the inside, we got Stanley with a speed of 163 flat. Then we start the 162 bracket with Winton making his first start in the series on the outside of row 6. Then on row 7, we have one of the players in the IndyCar iRacing series. That's Aiken. This is Aiken. Aiken actually does a pretty good qualifying run today. He is qualifying 7th alongside the infamous VJO on row 7. Shoemake and Turner back on row 8. Stum and Hoffman on row 9. Giacometti in row 10, along with Rami Rodriguez in the 80 in row 10.
21st place headed up is Casey Bristow, also making his first start this afternoon alongside Julian Altena. Made his first start for some time in CIS last week. Crashed out early on in that race as well. Matthew Molnar did not set a qualifying lap, nor did Alexander McBean. And then it is Zachary Wareham out of Canada, also making his first start this afternoon, closing out the field in 25th place. So the field getting set to rumble real quick. Who do you think is walking away with the win tonight?
I'm looking at the top 3 right there, Bennett, Wood, and Wilson. I never put anything past Henry Bennett. Andrew Wood already won a 250-mile race on this circuit this week. I suspect he will do well, and we're coming to the green flag.
Coming to the green flag this time by. We're happy you're joining us for racing action here on this fantastic Sunday afternoon of racing. As the green flag drops, we're off and away. It's go, go, go from Wisconsin.
Well, they got to make their moves quickly before the good of these tires run out. They're 3 wide going into 3.
3 wide already. Forcing the issue there was Johnny Garrett. He's able to get the nose in there. So no problem so far. Henry Bennett leads the way at the end of lap number 1. The rest of the field in hot pursuit behind.
3 wide again going into 1, involving Jamie Wilson, who's starting to fall back.
Look out! Oh, no! Huge crash on the back straightaway. Cameron Dance is collected.
That is Cameron Dance.
And the caution comes out, and the driver that was looking set to go into the points lead at the end of the night is done for the day.
It is a master broadcaster jinx right there.
That takes the cake.
My goodness. I know.
We're what? 3 laps of racing into the month, and already a huge crash, though, coming out of turn number 2 on the back straightaway, and you see him still stranded there, trying to see if he could get the ship righted. And Gary, this is just a bit of 3 wide. I think somebody caught the curb. It was one of the Team Watson cars.
Yeah, it was Strauss in the 16, and he starts to come around. Yeah, gets a little bit of the curb. We'll loosen the car up. Everyone takes evasive action. But unfortunately, that took out 2 cars who were basically just innocent bystanders out of it.
Tough breaks. Take a look at speed, and that is how quickly things can go wrong in these types of close quarters racing. Good job on the field for getting around that. I was expecting that to easily be a 5, 6, 7 car pileup, and only a handful got involved.
But you're seeing the aggressiveness at the very early of the run, and that's because, again, once the good of these tires starts to wear off, it's very hard to pass here. So you've got to get your passing while your tires are optimal. Everyone else is in the same boat. They know this exact same thing. They got to do it. So everyone is push on the first, 3 to 5 laps of a run with fresh tires, because that is really going to be your only time to get a pass in with tire performance. Next, after that, you're really going to have to work on a mistake opportunity happening in front of you, or a little bit more brute force.
Take one more look at this wreck from above, and you'll see right there, just caught those curves. You can get away with that in stock car racing here, not so much in Indy cars, and
yeah.
Man, they'll get you. It's almost as devastating as the Indy curbs.
Yeah, and they're right there, right just below the main racing line in turn one, and it's for the separation of the pit out road. And there are some cars, if you're having handling issues of making the rotation, in fact, late in a run, even in an IR18, you can go down there, just clip them a little bit, and that will kind of help the car rotate a little bit more in turns 1 and 2. But if you grab too much of them, it really unloads the back end of the car, and then you see what happens when Strauss came off, got loose on the exit of the corner, and then other people behind him are taking evasive action. But it looks like we're getting ready to go green here, coming back to green flag action at lap 6. Very quick caution.
Fading up to the top side of the racetrack, Henry Bennett in control of the field. Iverson pace car will make that sharp left-hand turn down in the pit road, and the green flag is out once again to the Milwaukee Mile.
I watched this wheel spin on this restart. Seems to be pretty good so far. Shoemake, Giacometti, Julian, and Casey Barstow all pitted under that caution. So they came in and decided to go for a little bit of splash of fuel.
Some drivers opted for the splash and go. This yellow flag is going to help to really break people apart on the restart as the rest of the field. Oh, in hot pursuit. Look at one of the Chimera cars being shuffled out wide. That was Jamie Wilson being pushed out by Logan Simmons.
At least on my screen is showing a little bit of wear on his front wing, so I'm not sure what type of damage that is actually translating to, other than maybe possible visual damage. And now I think it might have cleaned itself up, so that is good news for him, because you do not want to have a damaged front wing around this place.
You do not. It can be such a massive problem if you get that damage on the front wing. So we see Logan Simmons trying to make something happen here, just a little ways behind him. Bit of a battle started to pick up. This is for the 9th place spot. That's VJO trying to attack Sam Winton, and the rookie fighting the remainder of the top 10.
Look at the run these cars on the higher side get. It looks like you're going to get ready to complete that pass. Now, VJO does pull that pass off. But later in this race, when these tires become really worn in, that line on the higher side comes in, and you'll get a car that will get a run on you. Try to go low, and it'll look like he'll have the pass completed mid-corner, and then all of a sudden, the top side comes in for the car on the high side, and then you'll exit the corner with much more momentum than the car down low.
Matthias Strauss screaming to the inside as well of Sam Winton. So Winton going to be pushed out of the top 10 positions. Not an ideal run for him so far as he continues to battle it out. To the inside of him will go Strauss. Jan Hoffman is in the mix along with Andrew Aitken. Sam Winton right now hemorrhaging positions.
The long race, and also it's an open setup race, so I know I've seen him in fixed setup races before, so get your legs, your sea legs under you, so to speak. Get your tools set, and then when you get to your first pit stop, maybe you can make some adjustments to that front wing. Maybe add some more front wing if you're not rotating. If you're not rotating at all, add a little bit more front wing, and maybe take some rear wing out. Maybe force your car to do a little bit of oversteer action.
Oh boy. Couple of cars catching the outside wall there a little bit as we work our way down and into turn numbers 3 and 4. The battle for 9th is hot right now, with Barnakel, Hoffman, and Winton all trying to chase down Matthias Strauss. That outside line, I think drivers at Barnakel trying to bring it into play a little bit more, but there's just not a lot up there right now on this very flat racetrack.
No, it's going to take a little bit. Again, the longer these tires get worn in, we're only 12 laps in. We had a caution period that kind of cooled them down, so we got a bit of a heat cycle on these already. One time already. Here's another shot to the inside of Hoffman, going inside of Winton. This is for 10th. And see how this top side all of a sudden came back in? It looked like Hoffman was going to be able to clear him, and then Winton gets a big run on the high side. Now they're side by side back again going into the corner. And this time, it looks like Hoffman will be able to pull that pass off.
Jan Hoffman drives that machine all the way to the inside of the racetrack, and he is going to be smooth sailing from there. Meanwhile, just up the road from him, looking on the back of VJO. That is Matthias Strauss, right now running in 9th as he tries to battle his way through the field.
And they're getting around to lap traffic there. Casey Bristow, who's in his first start. And this is one of my least favorite oval tracks, so I don't envy anybody making their first start in the series and maybe possibly an unfamiliar car at this racetrack. This is one of my least favorite ovals, not just on this sim, but going back in the IndyCar Racing 1 and 2, I hated Milwaukee.
And as I understand it, for Casey Bristow as well, this is going to be his 33rd birthday tomorrow. So from the Green Flag TV family and your Green Flag TV debut, happy 33rd, or I guess happy early 33rd for Casey Bristow as he joins us for the first time of his Classic IndyCar Series career. Meanwhile, get around him. How's this for a tight fight? This is Shoemake, Rodriguez, Giacometti, and Turner under a blanket.
Yeah, they're getting locked up behind Shoemake. Shoemake's not necessarily holding them up, but he is commanding the line right now. And here is Giacometti taking a peek to the inside of Rafi.
Making that look to the inside, clears across the nose cone. All's well, ends well. Careful. I know it can be tempted to bump draft sometimes to get that big slip up to the back end, but can't do it. I mean,
no bump drafting in IndyCar. We saw what Will Power tried to do to Captain Kirk at Detroit, and they didn't look kindly on that.
I mean, there are certain situations where it's possible. There was a case in the regional formulas several years ago where there was a bit of bump drafting going on down the straight at Monza. So it's doable, but it's not going to end well, probably.
I'm not going to sacrifice my front wing and a 5-second penalty on pit road to get it replaced to bump draft somebody going down the straight.
I'm sure regional formulas lack a lot of the downforce that these cars have as well. As you see, Jamie Wilson and Logan Simmons. This here, a battle for the number 5 spot. So 2 more drivers scrapping it out, trying to make something happen.
Yeah, Jamie started in 3rd, and he's down 3 spots, so he got shuffled out there in the early laps. And caution on the racetrack.
Oh, and it's in fact for Casey Bristow, who you see turn around at the tail of the field here, and he is going to be facing the wrong way up in turn number 2. He's going to back it up and wait till the field's clear to get going, and well, we'll take a look, find out what happens to the number 33.
Maybe clips the rumble strips a little bit, but a very lazy spin. You can also unload the car because you're not at 100% throttle. When we do a onboard here, we're going to hear how they do with throttle play. And you will not be at 100% throttle all the way through the corner, but when you apply 100% throttle, sometimes, we've seen in the IR18s and sometimes in the DW12s, especially on the very low line, when you're turning that wheel, trying to stay on that low line, and he was trying to stay out of the way of some traffic. When you get to full throttle at the midway point in the corner, that sometimes will also bring the car around just because of the torque on these things.
It kind of looks to me, it almost looks in a sense like he wasn't going fast enough to get enough downforce moving over that car to keep it planted. And that's kind of what sent him around when he clipped the curb, because he wasn't going at a speed that you would normally associate with a self-spin like that. He doesn't have any damage or anything to the car.
No, none. Well, he'll come in and get some new tires, but that is possible. The slower you do go in these cars, believe it or not, they do not produce as much downforce. You need that velocity of wind going over those wings to supply the hundreds of pounds of downforce that these cars would like to generate to get these cars through the corners at higher speeds. And so when you're not as fast, that's disruptive to the car as well.
That's the challenge with high downforce cars, right? I mean, yeah, the speeds you run at can be extremely intimidating, but you can't show that fear. You have to get the power down. You have to go faster, because this is one of those cases where if you go slow, you're going to lose control of your car a lot more easily than at a higher speed, which is not the traditional dogma when you're driving any type of race car, right? I mean, you look to club racing, you look to stock car racing, typically lower speeds, you're more likely to keep control, not the other way around.
He's Correct. Again, IndyCar, a completely different style and a monster of racing. And the faster you go in a lot of cases, the better the car is going to handle. The slower you go, or sometimes when you roll out of the throttle at the wrong spot, the car feels it as disruptive and doesn't like it very much. Hey, I noticed that we had a number of cars make a pit stop. Aiken, Stum, Giacometti, Shoemake, Barkenau, Turner, and Bristow did come in, but he came in, pretty much was going to have to come in to get new tires anyways. But a number of guys from 14 on back now on a little bit of a different strategy, but the leaders stay out to maintain that track position.
Pace car is off, and on lap 26 of 200, we'll get this race back underway as Henry Bennett jumps on the loud pedal. Quickly runs away from the rest of the field behind. It's all going to be the fights for the midfield on back that remain close.
And let's see how well those guys that got new tires do here. There's going to be a 25 lap difference between these old tires and new tires. That's not a significant total here, especially how well older tires kind of hold off cars behind you because of track position, and just you're able to disrupt the air of that faster car behind you. But we'll see how these guys possibly come up through with fresher rubber. But the guys that stayed out, I think they're going to stay out until the bitter end, because really that gets them closer to kind of making this thing in 1.5 stops, kind of.
Jan Hoffman opens up the door to get around Robert Groscher. Good move for him. So fights by his teammate.
He's up 10 spots.
And right now, Groscher is on the move, and he's not the only one. Giulio Altena up 11 as it stands. Rodriguez up 7, Simmons up 5, VJO up 4. So quite a few drivers are moving, trying to make these passes happen early in the runs. And, well, you can see just how aggressive the dogfight is deeper in the field here. And, well, there we see another battle. That's Shoemake getting one up on Stu.
Those are two guys that have fresh tires. They're just racing one another. I'm watching Andrew Aiken on Rafi Rodriguez. Remember, Aiken got the fresh tires, so his is only 6 lap old, while Rafi's tires are 29 laps old. And this is what I was talking about. This is how old tires stay ahead of the new tires. You have a very limited window. So track position here is everything. We're going to see this play out over and over all race long.
25 cars started this race. Currently, there is, I am wrong. 22 cars started this race out of the 25 that we expected to qualify. And out of those 22, we have only got 20 left on the racetrack and 19 on the lead lap. So we've already lost a good chunk of this field in the early stages of this one. And if these guys can get a good long green flag run, and we could see a lot of interesting strategies starting to pick up. The fuel window estimated to be around 70 laps this afternoon, but that is running all the way green.
Yeah, so with 2 cautions already for the leaders, they're looking closer to 80 laps. If we keep getting more cautions, that gets into 90 laps. More cautions after that. Now we start looking at, just pitting at the halfway point, and then maybe one splash at the end. So the more caution we do, those drivers, and here's Julian on the low side over Robert, and Julian gets the spot. We move him up into the top 10. Julian driving with a brand new monitor this week, so he's feeling pretty racy with the new gear at his disposal. But the more cautions that we have here, it's just kind of really playing into the hands of all these guys that stayed out, because it's just really going to be one full stop and one tiny stop at the end.
So Julian Altena making tracks as he fights his way to the number 9 position. Meanwhile, from behind, drivers again catching that slow car of Casey Bristow. Lap traffic once again getting in the way, and I feel like that's going to be a common occurrence that we see this afternoon, as Bristow now is going to go 3 down.
It's pretty common here at a very fast but flat 1 mile oval. You're going to encounter lap traffic very quickly. Oh, VJO trying to get underneath Robert Groscher there on the exit of 2. But yeah, lap traffic might play a role, and just remember, lap traffic kind of was the topic of the day at the end of the Indy 500 before all of the disqualifications. really, if you're on the tail end of the lead lap, you remember, you have every right to fight to stay on that lead lap. But once you kind of fall off that lead lap, etiquette says you kind of got to get yourself out of the way.
Franz Josef Stum has had a problem somewhere on the racetrack. Not sure what for, but he's into pit road with a meatball flag as a result. So we'll take a look here. He's alongside, or fighting down with Robert Barnicow. And contact, and that's going to send 34 up into the outside wall. Breaks the right front toe link, and that forces him into pit road.
They're teammates, right? They're teammates, right?
I believe they are, yes, Aero X.
Oh, that is rule 1 of racing your teammate has been violated. Rule 1 of racing your teammate is thou shalt not wreck your teammate. Rule 2 is C, rule 1. So that is very unfortunate. That's a little bit of fratricide going on the race course. Completely avoidable. I bet you those two are not particularly happy right now for that happening, but you should be in comms with your teammate, and that's kind of inexcusable that the teammates coming together on the racetrack. Now, sometimes netcode takes over, but that didn't look like netcode was involved there.
We'll take one more look, and we'll look on board with Robert Barnicow, kind of get a bigger picture of this. Looking for the inside. I mean, a little bit of netcode, but I feel like, with the angle they were going at, they were going to hit anyway.
Yeah, it looked like at that angle that there was going to be inevitable contact there, and so yeah, you gotta race. You always race your teammates differently in IndyCar racing, and in IndyCar racing, your teammate is actually one of your best friends, which is kind of contrary to other forms of motorsports. In other forms of motorsports, specifically Formula One, your teammate is your worst enemy. If you don't beat anybody on race day in Formula One, you best beat your teammate. IndyCar, it's not the same thing. It's very much a team sport, IndyCar.
Trouble for Rafael Rodriguez is into the outside wall. Big time on the back straightaway. Caution is going to come out as Rodriguez will be forced to go to pit road.
So it gets loose off the corner and then shoots right into the inside wall. And I'm glad there are no other cars really around him, because he did the old ping pong off the walls there and shoots right back across the racing line to the outside wall in the backstretch. So day done in that kind of that Chip Ganassi Target themed delivery from back in the early to mid 2000s when IndyCar did run here with these cars last.
Tough break and a big lick into the wall, right back to the outside. As mentioned, I thought he maybe snapped and overcorrected into the outside wall instead of what actually happened.
I think normally in fixed setup races, when you see that happen, that's when they're cranking on the weight tracker a little too much, and then it's always right on exit, and it just right into that inside wall. Day done, especially the way that you hit it. There's really no avoiding massive damage on a collision like that. So now we'll see if the leaders come to pit road. Do they take this opportunity at lap 44? And I think they're indicating that they're going to try it. And there we go. So all pit stops have been pretty much done under yellow flag conditions today. And we will talk about, if we ever get to it, what it's like to get on pit road during green flag conditions here. This is one of the more dangerous pit roads to get on and off of under green flag conditions.
Understatement right there. It is, even in stock car racing, it's sketchy to get in here under green. Aiken and Barnicow both staying out, interestingly enough.
Yeah, again, track position. We're going to see that they'll be able to hold off all these cars that are going to come off pit road with new tires. They're going to be able to hold them off for a while. Now, watch them prove me entirely wrong here, but they're at 21 lap old tires. And I bet you they'll be able to, for a fair bit, be able to hold off Bennett and Wood and maintain track position. There will possibly just remain in the top 10 before their next round of pit stops come up.
Right now, 18 people watching along on Green Flag TV, the biggest crowd we've had watching the Classic IndyCar Series here in 2025. Welcome aboard, everybody, whether you be old or new. We hope you'll join us for not just the rest of this race, but for the rest of the season. It's been a wild one so far, and it's not looking to go away anytime soon. As Andrew Aiken, Robert Barnicow, again, the two cars that stayed out, Bennett, Wood, maintained the Team Chimera 1-2, or provisionally 1-2, and then of course you've got Johnny Garrett sitting back in fifth, who's disrupting the 1-2-3. Yeah,
you gotta have strategy B leading right now. Strategy A with the leaders that stayed out through the first couple of cautions and decided to take this opportunity now to come to pit road. Lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go green next time by. You know, this is historically one of the racetracks that IndyCar has had its most races at. In fact, if I tell you the name of the career wins leader here, most people have never heard of the driver unless you're a big fan of the Indy 500. Roger Ward has 7 wins here in a 14-year period. We're getting ready to go green, but that is your career wins leader here at Milwaukee.
So far in the Classic IndyCar Series, there has never been a repeat winner. Joshua Chin is the defending winner here. And with none of the previous winners in this race, we are going to get a 4th this afternoon. As the green flag comes back out, Barnicow and Aitken, as you predicted, Gary, they are off, they are away. Henry Bennett will have a lot of work ahead of him if he wants to get back into the race lead.
Yeah, Bennett's going to have a bit of a run here
on the
Barnicow.
Strauss caught up against the outside fence. Caution comes out quickly, and he'll be forced into pit road.
Oh, he just shoots. Did he have a mechanical? No. Nope. Grabbed too much of the apron. Too much of the curb.
Take a look. Right into the grass and up the track and right into the fence.
And that's not going to buff out. That's for sure.
You know, I don't think it will. I'm no mechanic, but.
And again, a track that tends to not always invite a lot of cautions, but I suspect that we're going to have more than our fair share of cautions today. The getting the track position is pretty key here from Aitken and Barnicow, because now they can just go longer into this run, and then when they get to that next stop of theirs, well, whenever that might be, and I think their next stop will probably, we're at 50 here, be in the 100s. They might, depending on how much caution we have between now and when they make their next stop, they might be able to do this under one more stop.
Jack Turner and VJO come down to pit road, and while we got this time, we're going to thank the guys that keep the lights on here for the 2025 Classic IndyCar Series season. Founded in 1989, Paper Recycling Systems first provided cold milling services to the Southern California market. Now, PRS has subsequently grown into the premier general engineering subcontractor for cold milling, soil stabilization, roller compacted concrete, and cold-in-place asphalt recycling in California and Nevada, with presences as well in Utah, Oregon, and Washington. In 2007, PRS added the highly regarded pavement preservation company, Pavement Coatings Company, adding pavement preservation services throughout California and specializing in the use of RAP aggregates via their Reclaimed Aggregates division. Both PRS and PCC are owned by PRS Holdings Incorporated and are proud to be 100% employee-owned. For more, visit paperrecycling.com. And of course, a big thanks as well going out to Butt Kicker, one of the longtime sponsors for the Classic IndyCar Series, and jumping on board as the new title sponsor for this season, Virtual Racing School over at VRS. Coming to the end of caution number, 4 now? Or are we on 5?
Yes, I think we're 4, I think. Could be wrong. Chat, double check us, chat.
I think it's 4.
I think it's 4 as well.
We had the Cameron Dances, which was the big crash of the night. We had Rafael Rodriguez. We had Casey Bristow, and then this one just now. I think that covers all of them.
I think we're at 4. I think we are. We're getting ready to come by and go green this time by coming to lap 52.
Aitken and Barnicow on old tires, continuing to lead the way. They were able to get away well last time by. We'll see if it'll be the same this time. Pace car's off. Green flag.
Ooh,
back in the air.
A little bit of a checkup by Johnny Garrett behind Bennett and Wood. I think Garrett was trying to get a bit of a run on that one, trying to anticipate the start. The leaders weren't going when he thought they would. But then again, Garrett is also a teammate, I believe, of Barnicow in second, so they might be trying to time that. Here comes Logan Simmons, who won on the oval at Motegi.
A big block as well to the inside of Johnny Garrett as he tried to cover off the run from Simmons. Simmons wasn't having it, though. sends that one to the inside. He'll pick up 5th. So Johnny Garrett into the number 5 spot. Johnny Garrett just behind, trying to pick something up. And now, Henry Bennett attacking Robert Barnicow. Bennett's up to 2nd, and it's 1 second up now to Andrew Aitken.
Yeah, just muscles Barnicow out of the way. And now he's going to try to bring his teammate with him, Andrew Wood, and he does. And now they're going to try to run down Aiken, but Aiken's got himself almost a 2nd lead while that pass occurred.
Andrew Aitken jumping out in front with a big margin. It's going to be a bit before these guys can catch up to him realistically. Meanwhile, behind, look at the Hornets nest of cars trying to go side by side down the front straightaway. Hoffman, Barnicow, Altena, and Wilson. Now 3 wide and 1 and 2 as Barnicow way up the racetrack. Loses 4 spots in the span of 1 corner.
Got shoveled out on the high side and had to stay up there. And then while he's staying up there trying to maintain his line and maintain his pace, as everybody with the pressure tires kind of freight trains him on the bottom side. Here's Julian to the inside of Jan Hoffman.
Julian Altena continuing his charge on the back of the field after he failed to qualify. He is up front now from 22nd place into the 8th place spot, battling for 7th with Jan Hoffman. He'll take that one away, and it's new highs for Julian Altena. What a comeback after crashing out of the Indianapolis Grand Prix just last week.
15 spots, typical MO for Julian. He's a hard charger, doesn't like to wait around and be in the mid pack very long, wants to go, go, go. So he is up to 7th. Next driver for him is Ethan Egan. Ethan's not going to be as easy as maybe some of the other drivers he's passed a little bit further on back. The more you get up into the cream rises to the top here. So the more he gets into that cream, it's going to be tougher to pass some of these higher caliber drivers.
Andrew Wood, fastest lap of the race that last time by in the Power Slide Team Chimera number 64 with a 22.122. That tells me that Wood he's either helping push Bennett up or is not going to contend to run second fiddle to Bennett for too much longer.
Oh, lap traffic, they reached the wrong point. And Andrew was well within the top 10 on Thursday's race in the Elite Racing League Warriors for Peace IndyCar Series. He got taken out of the wreck, and he got a little bit of contact between teammates, and that has damaged Henry Bennett's rear wing.
Oh, and he's around.
There he goes into the wall. Very similar to what we saw Mario Andretti in the 80s happen, where he lost his rear wing going in the 1 and spins to the outside wall, backs it in, and he's towing, day done.
How that was not worse is beyond me. Again, several cars missing that by the skin of their teeth. Take a look here. Bennett had a bobble. Wood did nothing wrong. Bennett bobbled off the corner. And then lost all the rear downforce, so the back end's going to come around on him. And look at Logan Simmons just escape up high as Bennett goes hard into the wall. And then Bristow's up high to try to get around lap traffic to lock up the brakes and duck low.
That was almost identical with the exception of the contact that caused the damage to the rear wing. Now it's almost identical. I think it was 1984. I think Mario Andretti was driving the first year for Newman Haas. He had the Beatrice-sponsored red Lola that came into existence about that time. He had a rear wing failure going down the front straightaway here at Milwaukee. The rear wing came off before he made the turn into turn 1. And as he made the turn into turn 1, the back end just came around and he backed it into the wall. It was a very hard wreck. And in fact, he was injured after that wreck for a number of weeks. Very similar situation that we just saw there. Almost identical.
Dude, Simmons was inches away from being taken out in that mess. It's a wild accident coming down to the turn number 1. On board of Henry Bennett. His pit stops are underway. And right there, it sealed his fate.
Yeah, and I don't think he knew he was damaged yet.
Well, he knew now.
Now he knows he's damaged.
That's the second crash, though, between two teammates. Admittedly, this one, Bennett can only blame himself, but, man, call the Milwaukee Mile the team killer today.
Yeah, the closing rate on these cars, regardless if you're racing a teammate or not, is just so so quick that a little bobble like that, especially when you're following a team car so closely like they were, one little bobble, one little lift, it's just like hitting the brake with all the downforce these cars produce. Look at these big wings on these cars. That catches a lot of air, and it's like hitting an air brake. When you take off the accelerator here, instantly slow down, and then you're into the back of the car in front of you, and you didn't even blink an eye at that point. So I don't think anything but a racing incident here. I hope those teammates will get it squared away. And Andrew is now our leader. Johnny Garrett is second. Julian now up the third. We're getting ready to go green here at lap 64.
Caution number 5 draws to a close as once again the field will look to kick off this restart. Lap number 64. We're back to it. Good getaway from Wood, but now we're about to find out if he's gotten any front wing damage from that mess.
I don't think he does, but there is always a great deal of damage unseen that can occur to these cars, so we'll see.
3 wide, down the back straightaway. Giacometti up top, Aitken in the middle, and Shoemate down low. They're able to get it back out to double. Logan Simmons fighting his way through the midst of that. Simmons, one of the drivers that came down to pit road under this latest yellow flag after he had just barely averted disaster, and now he is kind of caught in the crosshairs of several of his fellow competitors behind him.
Yeah, so starting with Logan in 8th, everyone behind Logan. Now Logan making a pass. We have much of the leaders stopped on lap 45 last, and then there's a second group of cars led by Logan Simmons who stopped on 62.
Heads up.
Oh, car to the wall, and that's another one of the Team Camara cars.
That is Bennett again. Thought he was out of the race. He took a tow, thought he had the car fixed. Evidently, he did not.
Oh, rear wing was still damaged, and he's just trying to stay low and out of the way. I would not be surprised if I get a message from Henry saying, man, stop picking me for these races, because that's 2 oval races in a row I picked him.
Oh, dear. That caution came out quickly that time. There was no hesitation from Iverson on that one. And, look at how slow he's driving. He knows that rear wing is busted up still. He's trying to log laps to pick up some extra points.
Yeah.
And it just...
But that just shows you how critical the rear wing is, even at slower speeds. If you mess with the balance of these cars, what he has is a snap oversteer of no rear downforce, but you have all the front downforce. So when you turn the wheel, the front takes off, and the back is all the while trying to catch up, and that's what brings you. It's just snap oversteer.
No close calls this time. Just a hit into the wall, and I think that might be the day ender for one Henry Bennett. So caution is out for the 6th time tonight. We'll be back in a moment with more on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to Green Flag TV as the field is restacked, re-racked, and getting ready to rumble once again. If you're just tuning in to the Classic IndyCar Series, the Paper Recycling Systems 200, my name is Ola Rempel alongside Gary Godstow. Coming to the end of caution number 6. We are down to just 15. Make it 16 out of the 22 that started this race, still on track. Pace car going to pull in this time by, and the green flag is out. Once again, Andrew Wood jumps on the loud pedal. Everyone else fanning out behind as we rocket back down to turn 1.
Shoemake gets a position on Egan. Egan also fights back on the outside.
Egan looking to fight back. Randy Shoemake to the bottom side of turns 3 and 4. The pack rocketed away as we hit the front straightaway once again, and the battle for 8th and 9 is on. Shoemake has got the ball, and he's around.
It's the rumble strips. And he gets. That is going to be Andrew Aiken, one of our leaders on an alternate strategy a little bit earlier today. And again, I'm not surprised that happened. It happened right in the traffic, and everyone did a great job at missing that. But Aiken just coming around the corner, and it just all of a sudden develops in front of him.
That came out of nowhere. As Randy Shoemake,
we should probably watch a replay from Aiken's point of view, because it's almost just around the corner out of sight of him. And by the time he comes off the corner, there's a car in front of him sideways, and he doesn't have really time to make a choice.
Smallest of margins, and bam, a vicious hit. Aiken caught completely unsighted. This is at speed.
And that is just what happens when you grab too much of that. And you can't really see from that angle because of the wall, but he grabbed a whole lot of that inside curb.
And we'll get the look on board with Andrew Aitken with the helmet camera, so you can get really the full picture of how this develops. You see Shoemake, the red and blue car, way up the road, but he's not focusing on that. Only just now he really realizes, and by then it's too late.
In IndyCar, you really need to be looking that far down the road, but sometimes, you just need to make sure that everything is good in your own neighborhood for a moment before you take a look down the road. And a lot of things going on in the IndyCar when you're especially coming off a restart, adjusting your weight jacker, your roll bars. But right there, the car just goes sideways in front of him, and by the time he gets to the scene, Andrew does, his fate is already sealed, because it's already up in his line, and he doesn't have time to make a decision to go to a lower line and try to miss it. Even if he had a spotter and said go low, chances are he's not going to be able to get to clear that wreck, and that's unfortunate. He's just an innocent bystander. It's not a skill issue or anything like that. That is a racing incident.
So 3 drivers, 3 teams towards the front end of the field. Powerslide Team Chimera leads the way. AeroX in second, and Velocity Online Racing back in third. Boy, this really has turned into a race of attrition quickly. You know what I'm starting to think? This race reminiscent of Worldwide Technology Raceway last year. It wasn't any particular big crash. It was just a multitude of crashes that kind of whittled down cars one at a time until there was only 4 left.
That is the MO of Gateway. We're getting ready to go green here at lap 75. And again, the longer Wood stays out, if he can get closer to that 100 lap neighborhood, he's 29 laps into his current stint. And he can come to pit road for possibly next to last stop, and then a splash at the end.
Andrew Wood continuing to battle it out alongside Johnny Garrett. Garrett thinking like he might be in with a shot here to go for the lead as he looks high, looks low, can't find a way to get to the inside in turn 1. He'll try again in turn 3.
I want to shout out Sam Winton. We watched him a little bit earlier in this race, and he was having a bit of a trouble. Now, I told you, it's a long race. Let him get his sea legs underneath him. Well, he has, and he's up 7 spots to P5 right now.
Sam Winton, of course, his Classic IndyCar Series debut, and a purple lap, like you say, for Andrew Wood. Top of the field, he is, again, showing that he means business.
It's the power of clean air.
something that this pack back here is sorely lacking as Simmons looks to the inside to put Winton out of the top 5.
Yeah, Winton will be up high, and he just needs to stay there because Ethan is coming on through.
Missed the bottom again, way up the track and into the marbles in 4. He's going to lose out, not just to Aitken, but to Jan Hoffman as well. So Winton dropped all the way back down to 8th.
He just needs to get in line and kind of follow the guys in front of him. A lot of the guys that follow him have many starts in these cars. I'm not sure how many Winton has, but he could probably learn a lot just by following Jan, just by following Ethan, just by following Logan. These guys, tons of starts in these cars.
Plenty of experience to choose from. If you're a guy like Sam Winton, who is doing a pretty good job, all things considered, in keeping up with these guys, but this is not an easy track to follow someone in, and he's doing so pretty diligently as he tracks Jan Hoffman.
I've also noticed that these cars have been in that lower line a lot more than in typical IR18 or DW12 races here. Typically the IR18s and the DW12s are not in that lower black pavement area. They're kind of up a lane a little bit higher. Here these cars a little bit more downforce and are able to get down into that lower line.
And that lower line, it's a lot more prevalent right now, and I think that's because, you know, it's so much harder to pass on an oval in these cars than it is in a car like the IR18, right? So bottom feed the racetrack. They can't get around you if you're always parked on the one line where you got speed. It's almost like the like NASCAR racing in Martinsville, just at insanely higher speeds, right? You park that car on the bottom, what are they going to do? You can't make a move on the outside.
In the community, we call that the IRL line, the old Indy Racing League line, where you get to the bottom, you can hold off the position. Oh, and we got lap traffic there with Jamie and Logan. I think Logan was trying to set up Jamie to use the lap traffic as a pick.
And that was, again, Casey Bristow. They fight their way around, so more lap traffic impeding the leaders for just that moment there. So far, they've been able to get around just fine. And I think that's a credit to Bristow, right? I mean, he may not have the pace that the front runners got, but at least he is being very predictable whenever they come up on him, which makes it a lot easier to get around him. And it's a lost art, honestly, in racing in general.
A key word that you mentioned there is predictable. When you get to that lap traffic, the lap traffic needs to maintain its line, needs to pick a line, needs to stay there, and the faster traffic will find a way through, and that is what he's doing. He's remaining predictable. That is a very case in point. Anybody watching that gets into a league competition or even in official races, you will find more friends with your fellow drivers if you become predictable and you're just having problems coming up to speed, you're not on the right pace. You stay predictable, you'll find that you'll be making more friends than enemies out there, even though that you're a little off the pace.
So Jamie Wilson and Logan Simmons continue to scrap it out with one another as they go down the back straightaway. Bit of a tight battle these two are having here. Simmons has to lift a little bit to avoid that outside wall, but they remain within the 10th and a half for the last several laps.
And it just must be a lot of downforce on that Logan car because he doesn't seem to be getting a lot of aero wash through the corners. He's able to stay down low. He's trying to exit up high to get a run, but that's not developing for him. And that might be because he maybe dialed it a little bit more downforce than everyone else on the racetrack.
Andre Giacometti and Robert Groscher just had a bit of a battle as well, back behind for the number 9 position while all this was going on. So, you know, battles continue on elsewhere all throughout the racetrack where this is going on. This was that attempt for 9th. And it was not an attempt. Groscher had a blink.
We are 45 laps into the stint for the top 4. They all pitted last on lap 45. So we suspect that they'll be coming to pit road.
Oh, hold on.
Probably.
That's Andrew Wood. That's the race leader that just slowed up and let Garrett into the lead. Is he out of fuel? Something is going on with Andrew
Wood.
Wood.
He's under power.
Well, something's going on here because he has just dropped pace like a stone. What is happening to Andrew Wood? Really weird incident there for Wood. It looks like he's back up to pace now, but what the heck happened? Johnny Garrett's down to the lead as he got around Altena. Garrett, do you have any insights?
I'm trying to go back and look, and I don't know what he did. It sounds like he's down on revs at the moment. Maybe he decided that I'm going to go to fuel map 8 and try to hit a number here and only do this in one more stop. I don't know.
It's a bold strategy given how much time he's lost, but we got a heck of a fight for the lead on our hands as a result of that now.
Now he's at full song.
Maybe he was trying to hit a number and he just found it. Now Altena trying to make the luck on Johnny Garrett. Jamie Wilson and Logan Simmons all to the mix. A four-way fight for the top spot at the Milwaukee Mile.
Garrett picks up the lead, then Julian, then Jamie Wilson, excuse me. And they all stopped on lap 45. They're 51 laps into their stint. I suspect they'll be closer to lap 70 or so. So they're 20 or so laps before they come to pit road, maybe a little bit more with the additional green flag laps they've done. And the farther to past 100 laps they can do it makes the possibility of a final stop a real possibility.
There goes Logan Simmons making the move for third here as he's going to go down the inside of Jamie Wilson. That's going to let the top two break away. Nearly contact between the two. They're able to gather it up. And they're side by side in the turn number one. Side by side as well with the lead. Altena makes the dive. And Altena to the point from Velocity Online Racing.
Up 21 spots, and he goes down low on the racetrack for the bend, now into 3. Johnny wants it back, but the higher line's not coming into play right now, and Julian starts to pull away a little bit.
Johnny Garrett, oh, so close to being run over by Jamie Wilson mid-corner there.
Jamie Wilson getting a real good look at the rear attenuator of Johnny Garrett to see if it's legal. I think it is.
No Penske-like shenanigans today, right?
That is a legal attenuator right there. Jamie Wilson approved.
They might decide it's not and have another go if he gets up here. Now they're catching Casey Bristow. The good news here is they've caught Bristow at a good point. They're all going to be able to get by him over the front straightaway. And a battle as well, Matt behind Jan Hoffman and Andrew Wood are going side by side in the turn numbers 1 and 2. Boy, this race has come alive, and now Andrew Wood started to claw his way back as he gets up to 6th. I'm so confused as to what happened to Andrew Wood. I mean, you don't lose that much speed just out of nowhere for no reason unless A, you're damaged, which does appear to be because he's back up to the pace he was at earlier, or B, you're pulling some kind of a strategy card.
The only other thing I can think of is a possible mechanical where he was unable to shift to a higher gear, and it just all of a sudden came back into it for him. I don't know. He was definitely down on revs, lit all the traffic on by, and then all of a sudden the revs picked up and he was at full song again. So when you see that, it makes me think that it's deliberate, but you know, I have heard that people sometimes they'll go through a race for whatever reason and USB disconnects, reconnects, whatever, and the wheel doesn't come back the way it should, or, you know, I don't know. It's just so many things can happen.
I feel like it could have been a full disconnect, because then that wheel would have hooked hard left or hard right or just gone straight on. And with how fast these cars go, when you plug a USB wheel in, it can't recalibrate quick enough.
It's not necessarily the wheel base, but maybe his wheel. If he has a separate wheel that has USB to it, like a Gomez wheel, those would be paddle shifters that are on the wheel itself and not the wheelbase. If the wheelbase disconnects, that's where you get the hard crank to the left or hard crank to the right. And that's when you'll see that graphically where the driver has his arms crossed over, and that's typically a wheelbase DC. Maybe he had a wheel, an actual wheel DC, which was not impacting the wheelbase performance. It was just impacting him shifting on his actual wheel.
Perhaps.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't have one of those types of wheels. I just got a G920, so I got the one where the base is the wheel. So
yep,
I don't.
Okay.
But I can picture what you're saying. Yeah. We are over halfway as well by about 7 laps, still on track. Despite all the cautions in the first half, we are still on track to finish this race pretty safely in the lap counter right now. Not right now under big threat of going into time. If we get 3 or 4 more cautions, it could come into play, but right now, not something these drivers have got to worry about. And you see this pack of 4 starting to slowly break apart as well.
Not that we want to jinx anything either. We don't want to see it any more cautions.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, we've already jinxed 2. We got the points leader and the favorite to win. We may as well get the lap counter while we're at it. Simmons started to drop back a bit more, almost half a second down. Johnny Garrett has found a second wind here and has really closed up to the back of Julian Altena as Jamie Wilson nearly catches him. And for the second time in only about 10-15 laps, they're catching Casey Bristow.
Yeah, I'm not nothing against Casey's pace and anything. I'm not sure how much practice. Every bit of practice helps in these cars. But after a while, I think in real IndyCar racing, if you're kind of that off the pace, they might tell him decide to park that thing. But he at least, you're right, at least he's keeping it out of the way of the leaders and all the traffic when they do come by him. But they do seem to be encountering him on a very regular basis. We just saw Jamie here go up to P2.
And now look at the cutback from Johnny Garrett of the 68, swinging that one back to the inside and trying to make the move happen again. And the Aero X number 68, can he get back through to second? This is allowing Altena to start to break away up front. Wilson's not going to let this one go easy. He looks to fight it out.
And Julian wants to see this in his rearview mirror. 0.4 of a second lead, battling for second side by side. That just allows him to creep away. Now it's 0.5 of a second lead, half a second.
Johnny Garrett with that beautiful crossover 2 laps ago was able to retake the number 2 spot. It was a textbook crossover, took a hot minute to get it done, but he did eventually get the job done and put his car back into second.
Don't look now, but Ethan Egan is slowly sneaking into the picture. He's in 5th, and he's creeping on this group right now.
He's been closing in, like you say, steadily more and more and more. And in fact, you take a look at what we got going on here with the leader. We'll compare the lap times between Julian Altena and Ethan Egan, and well, you can see, I mean, the lap times are pretty comparable between the two, but little by little, he has been creeping in. If these guys get side by side again, he's going to catch him, and he might actually catch him here because we got Robert Barnicow, who's about to be caught as well.
Julian has actually been in lap traffic or around cars for position for much of the day, so he should know what to do when he gets up to Barnicow, how to change his tools, how to change his weight tracker, to adjust the car, to be able to work with a little bit of aero wash now, so he gets up there. Barnicow also is a number of, well, actually he's on the tail end of the lead lap, so Barnicow's not exactly going to pull over here. But I think Barnacal also isn't going to be in the way either. There it is, right there. A little bit of lift. Julian on by. Here come the rest of the leaders.
Jimmy Wilson made the dive for the number 2 spot as well to get around Johnny Garrett while that was going on. As we see them now sweep by Robert Barnacal as well, and Logan Simmons is going to get through there as well. And you can tell Barnacal not fighting that too much, right? I mean, it's like you want to try to stay on the lead lap, hope for luck and caution, but you know, once the first car gets by, no point in second. No point in fighting second on back. Checking in on the weather so far this afternoon. Track has cooled down considerably. It started out, it was up to 118 at its peak in practice. It was at 109 at the start of the race. That has now dropped 20 degrees Fahrenheit throughout this race.
That's just going to help these older tires last a little bit longer and negate anything that a new tire really brings to a run, other than maybe the first 5 laps or so after getting a new fresh set of tires on. You're kind of fast at that point, but after that it really kind of balances out. So this is just helping these older tires. They're 76 laps into this run now, so they're lap 121. If they can get closer to 130, they might be able to do this with one more stop.
Checking out the current championship order as well, as you can see Cameron Dance right now still anticipated to be on top, but the gap would go nowhere between he and Moosen, and critically, with him being out of the race early on, while yes, it doesn't really change much between the top 2, this does pull Wilson, Simmons, Garrett, Wood, Egan, and Hoffman all within 50 points. This would be massive for them.
Yeah, that would be 50 points. That's a single race, basically. And this is a very long season. It's a calendar-long season. It goes from March to November.
Right now, this little group that we got here on the racetrack, it is the only group that we've got on the racetrack, and I think we're going to be nearing green flag pit stops pretty soon here, aren't we?
And I was just getting ready to say, wait till we get the green flag pit stops here, and you're going to see how dangerous and narrow this entry into pit road is. It is like threading through the eye of a needle. If anyone wants to take an old sewing adage, there it is. It is very much like that, because the entry to pit road here is just a little hole. It is just a little hole along the wall, and you got to get your car in there, and all the while, you got to bring it slow off the corner, and then you got to slow it down at the cone. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on when you bring your car to pit road here.
Again, the fuel window looked to be anywhere in the realm of like 70 to 75 laps, so anticipated for, in fact, there goes down Andrea Giacometti into pit road. I think lap 130, and you are officially going to be good to go the distance.
I think they're trying to get to that number, and if they can get there, they should be okay, and I say should.
Andrew Wood also into pit road.
What these guys are pitting early for, they're going to try to undercut this here. They're going to come out with fresh tires, and they're going to try to put down burner laps. They're going to have full tanks. These guys staying out there a little bit longer, they might have a little less of a fill, but I think at the area we are,
hold on,
of the inside, that is Giacometti on the inside, and that is not going to be a caution.
No, it will not. Andrea Giacometti, though, in fact, here comes the field into pit road.
And again, we would talk about how dangerous this pit road is, how hard it is. Well, he just shows you right there. He is trying to come up to full power on cold tires, and the torque takes over, and he nudges it into the inside wall. So again, the pit in and pit out is equally as difficult and treacherous.
You see the field on the left-hand side of Ethan Egan as he goes by, working their way through their pit stops this afternoon. One more car is stopped. That is Sam Winton.
Leaders on pit road. Yeah, leaders on pit road. They're coming off right now. So Julian, Wilson, and Garrett all coming off pit road. And you mentioned Winton. He's coming off pit road. Andrew Wood, there's that purple lap I told you about. He's pushing out there as best he can. He's trying to undercut this.
Yes, sir. Riding on board with Logan Simmons, waiting for him to make his entry into the pits as we can really get an idea of just how tight this is on the way in. He is at the point where it is safe to pit.
He is at, and he's with a team car too. So they're probably in team comms, and they're probably on the same strategy. They want to go as long as possible into this run because they're going to get a new set of tires that's going to take them to the end, but the fuel load is not as much as those that are pitting earlier. So it might be a slightly quicker stop. But in the meantime, those guys behind them have fresh tires. And remember, I told you the first 5 laps, you got to make good while the going's good there. They're pushing as hard as possible, so they might undercut them. We'll see.
You see Johnny Garrett getting around Rob Barnicow. As this field continues to sort their way through, and may thought for a moment Egg was lifted a little bit. Not yet. He is still remaining out there on the racetrack. This is what happened to Giacometti on the back straightaway.
Yeah, just trying to come up to speed. Cold tires, hit 100% throttle. I see that line. I'm going to go.
Oh.
Torque.
And that is why we saw him stop down low. And then this is what happened to Sam Winton just a couple of laps later, where the leaders were coming into pit road.
Yep.
Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Still no sign of pitting from Simmons or Egan, by the way.
No, they want to go as deep as possible into this run, but there is the chance for an undercut. But the longer they run like this, and the fact that those that pitted a little bit earlier, they've already passed the prime speed window of their tires. I don't think that undercut is really going to occur here. We'll see.
More of an overcut by now.
Yeah.
How long did the rest of the field go on their stints here?
Let's see. Julian went 84 laps. Wilson went 84 laps. Garrett went 84 laps. And they all stopped. And actually, I should mention, and I will let this slip a little bit, they all stopped at lap 129. Now, Logan Simmons, Ethan Egan, Jan Hoffman, they all pitted last on lap 62. So they're now 76 laps into their stint. So they might have another 7 or so before they come to pit road.
And we can see Logan Simmons and Jamie Wilson kind of their pit strategies throughout the course of the race. You see Simmons did take that extra pit stop. So, yeah, he's looking to go about 17 laps deeper on his stint than drivers like Julian Altena and Jamie Wilson are.
Whatever it is, this will definitely be their last stop, and it will be a shorter fill because they just need. How much fuel do they need to get to the finish specifically? The answer is just enough. So they'll just get just enough fuel in the tank to get to the end. They don't need a full tank.
And because unlike in stock car racing, there is no overtime to account for here.
No, thank God.
Here comes Simmons.
And yeah, bringing his teammate with him as expected right at lap 140. So
that is a 60s Monaco-esque chicane if ever there was one for a pit entry. So the rest of the field here is into pit road for the final time, except for the top 5 remain on the racetrack. While several cars are indeed down and in for final service of the night.
Logan's stop was a second faster in the box than those that, and now they're passing them on the racetrack. So the undercut actually was the way to go here because they're coming out well behind the leaders.
Well, consider now, though, they're going to have, 17 lap pressure tires than all the guys in front of them. That's a pretty big margin to run them down the rest of the way.
Fresher tires and lighter tank.
Trouble for Jan Hoffman and, in fact, for VJO as well, it looks like.
What happened?
There goes Hoffman off the road.
Yeah, same thing that happened to Giacometti. And I think it's unrelated to whatever the other issue was. Said Jan Hoffman had an issue?
Yep, and then there was VJO who went into the wall, and he actually broke up the left front suspension.
Same thing with Jan Hoffman coming off pit road. He caught it. He doesn't make any contact, but goes sideways into the grass, and now he needs to bring the car around, and it just costs him tons of time. But again, about 5 drivers experiencing the same issue with cold tires, trying to come up to speed. Yeah, there you see BJO right behind him doing the exact same thing, unrelated.
Man.
So Robert on pit road. This is his final stop. He's at 144. So that now turns the lead over to Julian, who has a second lead over Wilson. And they pitted on lap 129. So Wilson, Altena, Wilson, and Garrett all on 129. So they're all on this, effectively all are making the same bed right now. So now they got to sleep in it. And this is what, if they get a caution, it will definitely help them out. They got to bring these cars home now. If they stop again, any hope for a win is well over.
Oh boy, now Robert Groscher off the road. Same problem.
Same thing, and he's showing nose damage.
Spun it around, found the wall, and went for a bit of a pirouette. And again, no caution.
This is where, you know, having someone on the box for you, a little extra spotter, a little extra help. It's not illegal. It's completely legal to the rules in real iRacing and here in league racing. And just someone, a little reminder, coming to telling you in your ear when you get off that button, take it easy. You're on cold tires.
Yep.
Bring it up to speed slowly. And a little bit of anxiousness. People try to get going a little bit faster. Hit that pedal just a little too much. And we've seen a number of times on oval restarts with these cars, the low-end torque, it doesn't take much to light those tires up.
It absolutely does not. Well, we are about to get into the final quarter of this race. We're going to take ourselves a quick step back. When we return with more, it'll be the final 50 laps on Green Flag TV. Stay with us. You won't miss a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com. Welcome back to Green Flag TV and to the Classic Indycar Series.
and the Pavement Cycling Systems 200 for the Milwaukee Mile. If you're just tuning in, my name is Little Ramble alongside Gary Godsill, and we are in the final 45 laps of this 200-lap affair this afternoon. Gary, it's been quite a race so far, a race of attrition. It has turned out to be 7 cars remain on the lead lap. 13 out of the scheduled 25 to start are still circulating, and out of those 25, only 22 took to the grid.
10 years of the CIS, there's 35 different winners. I don't want to jinx Julian because I used to call his races in the Velocity Online Racing Series, and I jinxed one of his drivers one time when they were about 30 laps from the end. I was getting ready to say this could be his first win. Well, this could be Julian's first win here in the Classic IndyCar Series and become the 36th different driver over 10 years, 10 seasons to get a win here. Adding to a long list of other drivers like Josh Chin and Matt Cook and Cameron Dance and Robert Groscher and Henry Bennett, Constantini, Blocker, Andrew Wood, you name it, a bunch of greats in the community getting wins here. Maybe he can add his name to the list.
And of course, he would also be the 4th different driver to win at this very racetrack. This race has been run 3 times over the history of the Classic IndyCar Series season. They ran it in 2016, 2018, and again in 2023. In each of those races, the wins belong to different drivers. First to Christian Steele, then to Matt Cook, and then to Joshua Chin, all of which are not present this afternoon, so there will be a 4th different winner and no repeat winners of the Milwaukee Mile. The only question is which drivers are going to be.
You know, it used to be on the old IndyCar schedule back in the USAC and even through the CART days that Milwaukee was the follow-up race to the Indianapolis 500. Often this would be the first racetrack that the fans would get a chance to see the new reigning and defending Indy 500 winner. And it often, there was always a little bit of an additional challenge for that winner to kind of go back-to-back to go win at Indianapolis and then come back the next weekend to kind of validate that Indy 500 win with a win here at the Milwaukee Mile. There have been 10 drivers who managed to back up their win at Indianapolis over the course of IndyCar history, get a win at Indianapolis and a win here at Milwaukee. But the last time it happened was way back in 2000. And that's an interesting situation because that was Juan Pablo Montoya who won at Indianapolis in one of these style cars right here, the older IRL cars. And then he comes back the next weekend in the turbocharged, more sleeker looking kart cars. And he got the win in an entirely different car. And he's the last driver to do back-to-back wins at Indianapolis and Milwaukee. And he did it in 2 different cars. And it was also Toyota's very first IndyCar win when Juan Montoya won back in 2000. In case you're wondering who has done the back-to-back, Bill Holland, Pat Flattery, AJ Foyt, Al Unser Sr., Johnny Rutherford, Gordon Johncock, John Sneva, Rick Mears, Little Al, and Juan Pablo are the drivers that have performed the back-to-back at Indianapolis at 500 and then at Milwaukee the week after.
That's why I like having you around. You know all of this IndyCar history that I know absolutely nothing about, so I learn something new every time you're in the booth with me.
That's the idea. That is the idea.
Literally the entire reason why you volunteered to jump in here for this season.
We got this long green flag period. We got to fill it with something useful, don't we?
And why not? We can fill it with more pointless IndyCar trivia that tends to come out whenever you're watching the next Indy 500 and you want to annoy your relatives who have no idea what the heck is going on. They're just here for the beer. So Sam Winton and Jack Turner. We saw a lot of the battles going on for a second all the way back to about 5th, right? Now we got the fights for 8th and 9th. Sam Winton and Jack Turner, 2 newer drivers entering the season. I think Jack Turner only made his debut just last season, and Sam Winton, of course, making his debut tonight. Both drivers are a lap down, but Winton for his debut in 8th place is not bad.
Yeah, top 10 on your debut. If you could do that, that is a pretty good start.
So he is, of course, having a pretty good time of things right now. He is up 4 positions, qualified in 12th, right in the midfield. And he's got one of the power slide cars just behind him. Just behind them, really. That is Andrew Wood, the current holder of the fastest lap, at 7.2 seconds off the mark, and right now nowhere near the front. And for reasons that remain a mystery to both you and I.
There's a lot of speculation. Maybe if Jamie can hang on and get on the podium for the Team Chimera here, we can ask him. Maybe he knows. But yeah, very odd situation. Back of the leader is Julian by 0.7 of a second. He's won here in a league that he admins in the Velocity Online Racing Indycar Championship, which might actually be picked up by Green Flag TV, I think, coming in the future. But hopefully I didn't break any news there. But he did. We have had, and I was a participant in that series, not only as a broadcaster but as a driver as well. And we did race here at Milwaukee in the IR18, and he did win one of those previous races, so he has a pretty decent record here at Milwaukee. I can't say if he really likes this track, if it's a favorite of his, but it definitely is a track that agrees to his racing and driving style. And if you look at the stat line for him today, 21 spots gained, I think that's kind of indicative of this place kind of agreeing to the style of Julian Altena.
What is coming into play right now is the fact that his pace has dropped off the last little while. That gap was over a second at one point, and it has now fallen back quite a bit. You compare the lap times between he and Logan Simmons. I mean, a tenth and a quarter gained on 171, another half-tenth on 172, tenth and a half again this last time by. Altena, I think, may have cooked his tires.
Two things, yes. I don't know if he's cooked his tires, but certainly Logan is on fresher tires. Logan stopped at lap 141. Julian stopped at 129. Julian has now 46 laps on these set of tires. Logan only 34. But Julian is not necessarily got the clean air in front of him. He does have a car right in front of him. Jan Hoffman, 1.2 seconds down the road from him, and he might be picking up a little bit of dirty air from Jan. I don't know how much, but the closer he gets to Jan, the dirtier and disruptive that air is going to be. So that is going to allow this gap back to P2 to kind of close up and make things exciting here in the final 25 laps.
Remember the Mobility Resort Motegi race and how intense those final laps ended up being. If we get a repeat of that this afternoon, I'm here for it.
Different style race. I don't know if we're going to get a lot of side-by-side big drafting action like we saw there. But if he can get the Julian, he can maybe coax Julian into driving a little bit harder, maybe make a mistake. But catching Julian and passing Julian, and this would be the case if even Logan was in the lead. Catching Logan and passing Logan. Completely different things, and he's there.
Sam Winton, meanwhile, and Jack Turner going back and forth. They have traded positions just about every single lap, and Turner nearly put under the fence that time by as Winton went for the crossover. It's been crossover after crossover. The aggression is picking up back here as well, so we'll keep tabs on this because this could develop into something big as well. Of course, we're also watching that battle for the lead as Simmons continues to run down Altena. We're just waiting for him to make that look and pull the trigger.
Really taking the defensive line to the inside, trying to cut it off from Logan. A little bit of mirror driving here, just feeding the dirty air to Logan. We talked about this before. Maybe Logan's car has a little bit more downforce on it, so dirty air might not be impacting him. Julian slides down in front of him. He is clear barely. To the inside, here comes Logan. Now they're going to go side by side of the one. He tries to cut up on Julian. Got to crowd him. Julian holds his line.
Logan Simmons to the inside, going for the lead of the race. Steals it in 3 and 4 and forces Altena out. Left no room for him to battle back on the top side, but Altena not taking the line down. He dives back to the inside of 1 and 2. Altena back to the point. Simmons driving through on the top, trying to keep that Velocity Online Racing number 31 at bay. Down to the bottom side of the racetrack does Altena succeed in pulling the pass and ripping Quavo Altena. He got it.
Yeah, we got lap traffic involved here, so we're getting the dirty air from Barkenau's car. So, yeah, there's Barnicow right there. And almost used as a pick. Barnicow gets out of the way.
This is getting up there into the realm of, okay, what are we going to do now? Time is still remaining in this one. 17, looking for 16 to go. This time, Altena goes defensive into turn 3. Does not let Simmons get the in, but that is going to give Simmons a much better arcing run. And look at the run off at 4.
Yeah, but Julian goes to the inside. It's going to make Logan try to take the long way around on the outside to make the pass. Logan's going to get a run on the high side. Julian down to the inside again, defensive. That's Jan Hoffman right in front of him, and they are within less than a second of Hoffman, so they are starting to get the dirty air a lot more prevalent from that Hoffman car. Hoffman is on the lead lap. He's the class car on the lead lap. He doesn't necessarily want to pull over. Nothing like spending a race all day on the lead lap and then in the final stages, you know, last 10 laps or so, falling off the lead lap. So he doesn't want to do that. He wants to push.
Right. It's been getting aggressive, though, and I have a feeling this is not going to go the way drivers think it will. Not for...
I told you, though. But I told you that earlier in the race, track positions everything here, and even on older tires, even though that the tires that Logan has are newer, there's a period where it just doesn't matter anymore, and the tire performance, whether you have, let's say, 100 lap old tires and 75 lap old tires, is about the same. So they might have reached that point at this point. The only thing really different about these cars ultimately will be the setup. And I think Logan has a lot of downforce on his car. Maybe Julian has a lot less. Here's
Here he
Logan
goes!
to the inside.
Down to the bottom side of turn numbers 1 and 2. Tracking up for the apron. Altena fighting back by the wall on top. Altena hangs on.
Try to follow him through. Jamie's going to try to follow him through.
Simmons to the bottom side of the racetrack. 11 laps to go this time by. This time, Simmons has to go defensive. Late block on Jamie Wilson as Simmons covers him off. Wilson's not going to be happy with that. Simmons to the point.
Yeah, now does all that extra downforce that Simmons possibly has, is that going to slow him down during the straights or not allow him to pull away? But Jamie's going to race Julian. That's going to slow down these two. And with now 10 laps to go, that's exactly what Logan wants to see as Julian gets a big run on the high side on Jamie.
Now, if you're Altena, do you try to fight it out with Jamie Wilson, or do you back out and hope that Wilson can pull you up to Simmons and give you a chance again?
With the 10 laps to go, I think you're running out of time. I think you got to hold on to what real estate you can possibly put your flag in right now, and he's going to go back to the inside and try to get that position back. Maybe got a little loose there in the corner.
The gap is going to extend out even further. Wilson clears by a long shot, and now Simmons has got 8 laps to chase down. Sorry, Wilson's got 8 laps to chase down Logan Simmons. He's got to reel in about 1/10 and a quarter every single lap. Oh, unless we get a caution here. Ethan Egan's into the wall, and the caution does come out, and that changes everything.
Yeah, that absolutely 100% changes everything. And if I'm these leaders, I'm staying out, but someone's going to gamble.
Fighting with Johnny Garrett, and a look to the inside, bit of contact, bit of net code, hard lick into the outside wall for the TWRS number 20.
Happened. Oh, awful net code, but a big lick.
He tried to pull it off the racetrack, too. He knew what was going to happen, and you saw him try to tow, but it was just too little too late.
Yeah. So Julian is going to come to pit road. He's going to go for new tires.
Now, he's got to hope that not too many drivers stay out. Garrett has stayed out, so Altena's going to be down in 4th.
Yeah, that's not a bad call by Garrett. That might move him up into a podium position. Andrew Wood coming to pit road for tires. Hoffman getting basically the waiver out. He was almost getting ready to go a lap down. He's coming to pit road for tires. Winton coming to pit road for tires. Winton's a lap down. Turner's a lap down. But it's going to be, I think the rules will allow all the lap cars to get out of the way. And when these leaders get back up to the pack here, they'll be able to cycle right behind the car that they'll be in direct competition with. But it's Logan's going to stay out, which I think is the move. That is the right move there. Jamie staying out, that is the right move. Johnny Garrett, I think him staying out was the right move. In fact, if I was in third place with Julian, I probably would have stayed out. Julian must think that the tires have reached a point that he can't do anything else with them, and then he kind of had no choice here to maybe make a late run at this, and we'll maybe get 2 or 3 laps to kind of decide this at the end.
Now a yellow flag, another yellow flag, would end the race.
Yeah, it would.
So this is, next flag ends it. There is no overtime.
Right, no green, white, checker gimmicks here. We go 200 miles, we say 200 laps, we go 200 laps. That is it. And Logan's your leader, got Jamie in second and Garrett in third. I think they made the right call, but now as you see, as we're late enough in the race, all of the leaders cycle up behind one another at the front of the queue. So now you see Julian has moved all the way up behind Garrett, and he will have about as many laps here at the end of this race that those tires are going to be good. So he's going to be sending it every single corner.
He's got to pick up 1 spot a lap from here. It's a 4-lap dash or less. Who takes the win in the Paper Recycling Systems 200, the Milwaukee Mile? From Wisconsin, the green flag drops from what will be the final time tonight. Great getaway from Logan Simmons. Jamie was trying to change, but the 1/4 of a second is a long way to make up in just 3.5. Oh, and around goes Altena! Slide to the tail end out. He's going to spin it off of 4. 3 to go, and that's the race.
That's the race. And he was cranking on those tools for all they were worth to get that car to rotate, to get a good run, and just right there at the end, and it over-rotated on him, a little oversteer. And unfortunately, all that track position that he did have, he lost, but he is going to get a top 10 here, but it's not really kind of an indicator of how his day was. He led almost 75 laps.
Big dramas in this one, and it's going to be a lackluster way to close it out. Altena's final position will be in 7th, and like you say, he sent it. Went for a move and stuck that nose where it didn't belong. That door was never going to stay open.
So Logan is going to get his 3rd career win here in the Classic IndyCar Series, 2nd this season, and he is so far the Oval Meister on the calendar. 2 oval races and now 2 wins. All he needs to do is just take the checkered flag for this one. Yeah. And be official. But 2 for 2 on ovals this season for Logan Simmons. So on a putting a stamp on the round tracks this season for him.
And I mean, you took a look at the omelet, right? I mean, that's a move that just should not have been made. It was never going to work out the way he thought it would. That's the line. You start wide, you exit low. That is the line, and it wasn't open. He was behind. Should have just waited for the next corner.
I'm guessing Logan probably on his calendar has Sunday, June 29th circled, because that's the next oval track.
Probably, yeah. Pretty wild season that Simmons has had so far. He's only gotten 2 wins before today. He's going to walk away with 3 now, 2 this season, and the last one came about 4.5 years ago. So this could end up being Simmons' year now that he's going to make up a lot of points with this.
A long drought, and then when it rains, it pours.
Sure, he's not complaining at all.
No, not at all.
He was 55 points behind Moosen and entering today. With Dansby out, he's going to score at least 50 points for the win. He could be dangerously close to the race lead at the end of all of this, you know. We'll look at the points.
So we'll have to see how they shake out.
We'll look at all the points after we've got a chance to talk to our top 3 tonight. But for now, out of the final corner, the checkered flag is waving, and Logan Simmons will officially take his 3rd career win and 2nd of the season in the 2025 Classic IndyCar Series.
Nice job. Nice job. And he had to really work for it, too. It's a hard place to pass. Started 10th. Improved 9 spots. Got the win here. Not an easy race for him. We'll talk to him about his setup. I think his setup had a little bit more downforce than everyone else. And that really helped him through these corners to get runs on people while they were pushing up. He was on the low line, getting those positions.
So Logan Simmons with that 3rd win of his Classic IndyCar Series career will pull it around to the front straightaway, and no doubt going to see him look to burn it down. 2nd win this season, and both of them on the ovals. And like you say, circling that race for the end of June, where we will be racing at the action track for 250 laps. It is the Richmond Raceway for the next oval race. Between that, though, we've still got the Portland and the National Raceway for 110 laps in 2 weeks on June 15th.
Old different animal at Portland. These cars never ever race there for real. Indycar, of course, races there now, and then the kart series, they race there. But these IR09s, IR05s didn't run there at all. But a little bit of a Polish victory lap for Logan. I appreciate that, being of a Polish heritage myself.
He's going to make the rounds. What a historic place to take that 3rd win as well. I mean, it is. Again, this is one of those tracks where it may not be as big as Indy, but it just feels special when you're here with all the history this track's got.
Yeah, definitely along the lines of a Friendly Confines type of arena. So old, but so rich in history and heritage. And Logan, I mean, this is not necessarily one of the crown jewels on the schedule, but to say you won at Milwaukee, you know that some of the all-time greats in all of IndyCar racing, whether virtual or in real racing, have won here. Not just anybody wins here at Milwaukee, but the really good drivers that do. So Logan Simmons with the win.
With that, we'll take a rundown of your official post-race results this afternoon. As with Simmons taking home the win, Jamie Wilson will have to saddle for number 2 this afternoon as he finishes behind the caution flag. Johnny Garrett picks up a podium as well, with Andrew Wood back at 4th, Jan Hoppen at 5th, Julian Altena, the cause of that last caution, will finish at 6th with the last car on the lead lap. From there, rookie Sam Winton comes home with a respectable 7th place. Jack Turner back in 8th. Rocher 2 laps down to 9th, and Robert Barnicow finishes in 10th.
Giacometti with that little issue coming off of pit road. He comes home 11th. Ethan Agan, not the finish he was looking for. A little net code contact in turns 1 and 2 cost him a good top 10 finish. He comes home 12th. Casey Bristow, just to drive to survive out there for Casey. Like I said, iron sharpens iron here. The more you put in these cars, the more you get out of them. Keep practicing, but he does bring it home for a top 15 finish in his first start. And that's not too bad. 15 laps down and 13th. BJO, not the race he wanted. Another one of those issues coming off pit road. 14th. Randy Shoemake 15th. Andrew Aiken in 16th. Bennett, I got to stop picking him, and I'm sure he's going to get a message me and say, Gary, stop it. Knock it off. Don't do it again. 007 with the license to kill. He is in 17th spot. Strauss in 18th. Rafi in 19th. And Stum in 20th.
Moving on back down to 21st place, Marshall Stanley and Cameron Dance were both caught up in the lap 2 crash with Alexander McBean, Matthew Bolnar, and Zachary Wareham, all failing to make the start of racing action tonight. So we're going to take a jump down now and look to give a chit-chat here to all the drivers that come home number 1 at the end of the night. And we'll look to start things off first and foremost with Logan Simmons, the man of the hour. It is the 3rd win of his career and just the 2nd one this season, both of them coming in at ovals. Logan, this win, unfortunately, is one that is done under yellow, but he had quite a fight for the lead leading up to it.
Well, it might have ended under yellow, but that is the best stretch of green flag racing you will ever see, probably on iRacing ever. This car produces awesome racing, and that was just the most fun. Probably not as fun as Motegi, but it was fun.
Kind of.
Like I feel like Rick Mears in '82. I was like, I'm running down a big gap to catch the leader.
And talk about that run down, because Altena had over a second, and within about 10, 15 laps, you were right up the gearbox, and he did not make it easy for you.
No, it was not easy, but that's what I expect. I don't want to be given wins, but yeah, when he repassed me, it threw me off my rhythm for a second, so I had to get back into the rhythm and get everything feeling good and right. I mean, we worked on this car the entire race. I mean, there was so much right rear. I probably went up 2 pounds of right rear pressure on it, and I know we went up 0.3 of front wing on it. And I mean, after that, it was perfect. The only reason that this happened the way that it did is we had a decision at lap 60. We were like, if we go 70 laps, it's 130. If we go 70 laps again, we're done. We betted that there wouldn't be any more cautions. So we thought, okay, we literally just cut out a pit stop. Everybody else is screwed. We're going to win the race that way, because we didn't have the best car. Chimera 100% had the best car, and I don't know what happened to Andrew. I thought he had it, but yeah, sucks for him, but what a great day.
And of course, the next oval race coming on up is about a month from now down at the Richmond Raceway. Before we get to that, we've got Portland. Are you looking forward to Portland, or is all eyes set on trying to go for a third oval win this season?
I mean, Portland's fun. It's a great layout. I would give them that. The fast sweeping parts. I don't know how to fit with this car. I've had a lot of problems with this car on the road courses here recently, and I'm just bleh. So hopefully we can pull something out, and it'd be a good day. Yeah, just a good day today. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the season. It's a good day.
All right, we'll wish you the best of luck in 2 weeks then to Portland International Raceway. Congratulations on taking number 3 in the wins column. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all.
That was Logan Simmons coming home number 1 this afternoon, and we'll let Gary Godso jump on down with Jamie Wilson, the driver that is finishing number 2 this afternoon.
Jamie, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on the P2. A book of 2 different halves for you for this race. I guess a story of 2 different halves. The first half of the race, that start for you, whatever happened on that start, you got shuffled out and fell like a rock. And next thing we know, you're struggling to hang on to just inside the top 10. But as this race went on, a little bit of attrition kicked in. You kind of worked your way back up to the front on some strategy and came home in second. And not sure if you're going to have a chance to run down Logan, especially with the caution ending the race under yellow. But did you think you had anything for Logan there at the end? And talk about that start of the race. It was a little rough for you.
Yeah, all of the starts were pretty rough for me. That's just a default position for me anyway. I'm just not very good at restarts on ovals, really. But also, that was probably the weakness of the set for us, was we were just a little bit... we were needing to be a little bit safe on the starts, and then once the car had been going for a couple of laps at full speed, it kind of settled into a nice rhythm, and then it was really consistent through the rest of the run from there. I was gutted about that late caution, because I thought, there's just the slightest little hint of a chance, and that was the best position I've been in since Brands Hatch Indy in 2020, so to get my first win. So I was up for it, even if we did have a 12 lap or whatever it was tyre age difference. But yeah, sadly wasn't to be. But yeah, as I say, I was bouncing backwards and forwards basically just based on restarts not being great, but the car then coming to me for the rest of each run.
Well, you've moved up. We got new points updated, then you moved up a spot in the points. You're now in 4th. You've had a pretty consistent season up to this point. You are 24 behind the leader, which is basically a half race. The leader is Cameron Dance. He did not have a good race. Thomas is P2 in the standings. He did not even show up today. So we're kind of a quarter of the way into the season here, coming up to another road course, which we know you guys at Team Chimera do really, really good on. You got yourself in a position here that as this thing plays on later in the season, and you get those good finishes in, you're in contention here, and that's how you set yourself up. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of fallen a bit generously for me, that, because I had an incident at the chicane at Indy which put me out quite early on, so I took a big points hit there. But then Cameron had his incident early on here, so that's why I was close to the leader as I am, I think. I don't think that's necessarily a true reflection. But yeah, I mean, Portland will be interesting because it's obviously a new track for us all. And one where, of course, we don't have any setup information or anything like that. So that's going to be a bit of a learning experience. Probably need a bit more practice for that one compared to my, I don't know, 12 minutes or something I had in this one. We'll see. But that just goes to show, I have to shout out Josh Chin for the setups that we were running here today. They're obviously ones from previous years, but the car was absolutely on rails. So I was very surprised to end up where I did on the grid, having not done a Q run until I did it. So.
Josh Chin, the all-time wins leader here in the series. So if you need any setup, I would definitely take his. Congratulations on the P2. Any shout-outs, any friends, family, sponsors you want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, well, I'd say shout-out to Josh, but also, yeah, everyone in both sides of the Power Slide Team Chimera families, so to speak. And yeah, it was obviously unfortunate what happened with Henry having his wobble and all that kind of thing, and Wood having a very bizarre sort of almost engine cutout kind of issue or something. So, I was fortunate to end up where I was. But it was a really good fun race, sort of us trying to figure out what the best strategy was and that kind of thing. And yeah, thanks to you guys for doing everything you do on the broadcast side and of course on the league admin side, for Robert and co as well.
Congratulations, P2 at the 200 lapper here in Milwaukee is Jamie Wilson. Back to you, Nolan.
Cheers, guys.
Jamie Wilson comes home third for Power Slide Team Chimera. We'll bring in Johnny Garrett. The Aero X driver will come home number 3 this afternoon. And like Jamie Wilson taking his 6th career podium this afternoon, Johnny, a great drive for you. You started at the top 5. You were in the top 5 for much of the race, and you had a front row seat to all of the battling going on for the lead. Talk us through your night.
Oh, hey. I got to wipe the cobwebs off. It's been a while since I've been up here with you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I was just in the pit stops talking with some of, I don't know if there's some of my victims yet or what, but, there was a couple things, as you guys probably witnessed I guess, towards the end. And I don't know exactly what happened. I thought my car warped for a second. I don't know. It blinked out on my end, and I was talking to Ethan. So besides that part, yeah. Of course, I'm always happy to be up here. I've been trying harder to be up here this season, but just didn't work out yet, except for that first race. And yeah, I didn't think I had a winning car today. I probably could have did some pit stop adjustments, but I didn't study those, and I don't like to just throw stuff at it. So I just left it as we pulled it off on the start. I just left it like that, and just tried to hang in there as I was losing a couple positions here and there towards the end. And that was my plan. Just stay in there and try not to do anything crazy.
You, of course, were right around where quite a bit of the chaos was happening early in the race as well. I think it was you that had that extremely close call with Henry Bennett when he spun up the racetrack in turn 1. What do you have to do to transition from the mindset of kind of a stop-start type of race to, okay, now we're actually in a long green flag run late in the game?
Well, that's a good question, because good thing I don't have like a live mic, because whenever there's like that many, it's not like I'm mad at anybody. I just it's harder than some people think, at least for me, to go through like caution lap after caution lap. It's just like you want to be racing, So there was some like curse words coming out, like bleep bleep, let's get it going,
It's called iRacing, not iPacing.
Yeah, it's exactly. Plus, my team knows I have a bit of a tension. It's not clinically, but I start thinking about what I'm going to do on Monday, like by lap, 120, and I'm like, oh, wait, what am I doing here? And even Logan was asking what happened, like towards one of our last pit stops there. I thought I was in turn 1 and 2. I was in turn 4. I started slowing for a pit. And I I was in turn 2, and Logan asked later, "Why did you like start puttering around the track there, like close to that pit stop?" I was like, "Well, I was pitting like a half a lap early, and then so I had to get back up to speed and go around whatever." So yeah, that incident to me is like doing pace lap after pace lap, and if you start spacing out a little bit, you know.
Well, next time out, it's 2 weeks from now. It is going to be of course, at Portland International Raceway. It's a brand new quantity. A lot of drivers, I think, are looking forward to it. Where does it lie with you?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I can't remember the last time we ran like a brand new road course here, you know. So it'll be pretty cool to be in it and to see it for you guys, I would imagine.
Well, we're looking forward to it as well, and I'm sure you are as well. We'll look to see you when we go racing once again. In the meantime, congratulations on taking home a solid race outing this afternoon, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much for what you guys do, and thank you. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'll take it. Thank you.
That was Johnny Garrett coming on home this afternoon in third. And Gary, before we get to the points, slight correction, but it turns out it is actually not Sam Winton's first race this afternoon. He has 22 starts. The last one was in 2021, and everything else was before 2020. So well before I started covering and following the series, which is probably why neither of us recognize the name.
Well, two things there. Still, to go 4 years or so from jumping in the car and to decide to jump back in and get a top 10. I mean, essentially, it is like his first start all over again. If this was real IndyCar racing, he would have been forced to take a rookie or a veteran refresher course and then to get a top 10 out of it. Awesome job. And then the mystery of Andrew Wood is still very much a mystery as we're learning
Even
in
to
chat.
him.
He doesn't know what happened and hasn't got a chance to diagnose it yet. It just looked like that his car kind of cut down on power, and he rode around like that for 2 laps, and then just as I was explaining when I was watching his onboard, the power just came back.
Well, we got more racing coming on up before too long, and of course, we'll look at the championship points. These are the provisional points exiting today, and boy, does it tell a story. Cameron Dance and Thomas Mussinen still within 3, but now Logan Simmons within 10 points of the leaders. All of a sudden, it's a 3-horse race, and Luke is ultimately mathematically back in the fight. Wilson, Garrett, Wood. That goes to show that even with, the 40 to 50 point splits sometimes, you can never count drivers out because all it takes is one bad week, and they're right back in there.
Yeah, and how unpredictable the netcode is with these cars sometimes. Just being in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time can definitely cost you a shot. But Cameron survives. He's got a 3-point lead. We're going to a road course next, which is one of his strengths. Same thing with Thomas. If they show up next in 2 weeks here from now, I think it's 2 weeks from now at Portland, should be a great dogfight there. Logan, I think Logan, he's happy to made it to third here on the power of 2 wins at 2 ovals. I think this is a best case scenario for him. I think he just wants to get through Portland and just get to the end of that one, and so we can cross that off the list and get to Richmond, another oval track for him. But I think for a best case scenario for Logan, 2 wins, 2 oval races, and 5 races this season, I think him being in third is all he could hope for right now, and he should feel pretty happy. But if again, Portland, a lot of people haven't been to it, and so not a lot of people have actually raced at it. I believe there was an official one in the official Indy Open Series. We'll race at it later this year in the IIS. I think VOR put it on their schedule for their last season, season 13. I think the Elite Racing League is going to have it on their next season schedule. So there's a lot of leagues that race the IndyCar that haven't raced it, and then there's only been one official instance of Portland. So there's not a lot of people, unless you've been practicing at Portland, that have a lot of Portland experience. So it could turn into a situation when they're all barreling down the front stretch at Portland and they all go into turn 1 at that chicane that they tie up, 4 or 5 cars, and, Logan might put himself in a situation where all he needs to do is kind of survive the start and just get it home to the finish, and he might get a good points paying day at Portland. You never know. So he's in the best case scenario for him, though, being that he says he's not the best on the road courses. He is shown that he's been the best on the ovals this season.
Well, before we get to Portland and more, still got more racing action coming on up on Greenfly TV. Later today, the Blazing Pedals ARCA Series as well as the SRL Xfinity Series are both out of the Rockingham Speedway. On Monday night, the High Tide Racing Darty Premier Series takes to Auto Club Speedway at Fontana. With Ole Miss SRL dabbling in IndyCar for the first time, they'll have an Indy 500K at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And then a triple header on Wednesday. The Global IndyCar Challenge makes its debut at Circuit des Francorchamps alongside the Beer League at the Red Bull Ring, along with as well the Premier Sim Gaming the Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series for their season finale at Michigan International Speedway. Season finale as well on Thursday with the Speed Cup Series at the same venue, along with the Average Joe Sim Racing League for the JVC Mortgage VA Home Loan 180 at Michigan. From there, it is the NASCAR Classic Series out at Kansas, and then we're back for more on Sunday, 2 weeks from today. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today. Check us out at greenflytv.com. My name is Little Rebel alongside Gary Godso. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks for more CIS action.